Good morning. My name is Kimberly Melton, and I'm honored today to be your service leader. The theme for the service today is the wheel of the year. Springtime is our spirituality. Our opening song has such great lyrics and meanings for this. I wanted to share some of the words. Earth shakes out a mantle of green, each blade of grass true to the integrity within. Yet together with others is the rise of spring from the winter's urging. Our coming is with the grass, the common which persist unexalted, but with the essence of life. When you're singing our opening song today, think about springtime and how it makes you feel about your growth and your spirituality. As we rise to sing our opening song, please greet those around you.
Our chalice lighting words this morning are by Susan Davidson Archer.
The earth is warming, the birdsong increases, the sweeter breezes brush our cheeks, and the earth holds hope in its seeds and buds. Come, let us gather this morning with joyful rise, with warm hearts, and with hopeful spirits. For we are one of the renewal of the earth, and blessedly held in the love of one another.
Welcome again to today's service. We're happy you're with us today, here in this room and also joining us remotely. This service is an extension of Lunar Rising, an annual day-long event held here at the church for the past 10 years. So this year is our 11th year. This year's celebration will be March 14th, and we have tickets available, and we have a table also in the fellowship hall. This event honors the feminine spirit and all whose lives as girls, women, femmes, or who identify as non-binary and celebrate feminine energy in our lives. We have fabulous workshops are held, and they often spark our creativity, stimulate our minds, bodies, and souls. We honor the divine feminine in each of us and come together to exercise our minds, spirits, and bodies through learning, sharing, and laughing. Well, lot of laughing. The theme of our service today, should it enhance your experience for future services, you can find both the large print order of service and a personal hearing device on the table outside the entrance, and there's also an elevator if you missed that. We are pleased to have our guest here with us today, and our members would really like to greet you. So if you're a visitor, could you raise your hand and keep it held up just for a minute? We're so glad you're here. Members, please take note of where they're at, and then after the service, invite them to join us for coffee and conversation in Freeman Hall, which is just right across the way, so not very far, and we have lovely coffee and tea. If you'd like to hear more about us, please fill out a yellow card and place it in the offering basket in the service. Members with a life event to share can do so on the reverse side of that card. And the cards and offering envelopes are on the clipboard at the end of each of the rows. So if you could please start filling those out and sending it down the row. Visitors interested in hearing about how to become a member can talk to our membership coordinator, Ms. Kelly Green. And her contact information is on the back of your order of service. I know we probably all have one of these, and no one wants to hear it, so please make sure you've silenced your phones so we can all enjoy the service. And again, welcome spring, and we're glad you're here.
Hello. I would now like to invite all children, youth, and those young at heart to join me up front for a story. This is the story of how the ancient Greeks explained the seasons. Zeus, king of the gods, had 2 brothers and 3 sisters. All of the gods had jobs, but his sister Demeter had one of the most important jobs. She was in charge of the harvest. There were many temples devoted to Demeter in ancient Greece, and all the gods and mortals tried to keep her happy, because if she didn't do her job, the crops would die and the people would starve. The gods did not want the ancient Greek people to starve. They were having too much fun interfering in their lives. As the story goes, Demeter loved her little daughter Persephone. They played in the fields almost every day. And when Persephone looked up at her mother, Demeter's heart swelled with happiness, and the crops grew high and healthy, and the flowers tumbled everywhere. And over time, Persephone grew into a lovely young goddess. That's where the trouble started. Hades, king of the underworld. He was a gloomy fellow, and he tended to hang out in the underworld. But one day, Hades got restless, and he decided to take his 3-headed dog, that's right, 3 heads, out on a chariot ride. Cerberus, his dog, tended to guard the gates at the underworld, but every now and then he liked to give his pup a break, so he scooped up Cerberus and left 2 spirits in charge instead. When they reached Earth, Cerberus jumped out of the chariot and started sniffing flowers with all 3 of his heads. And then he ran up to a lovely young woman, the goddess Persephone. Now, most people would be a little startled if a 3-headed dog came tearing up, but Persephone only laughed and scratched his head. Now, Hades loved that old pup. And when he saw his dog playing with Persephone and heard her delighted laughter, he fell deeply in love. And before anyone could stop him, he grabbed Persephone, his dog, and the chariot and dove into the deepest, darkest depths of the underworld. He locked Persephone up in a beautifully decorated room in the hall of Hades. And he gave her all sorts of delicious food, but she refused to eat. She heard that if you ate anything in Hades, you could never leave. And she had every intention of leaving as soon as she could figure out how to do so. Over a week went by, and out of desperate hunger, she finally ate 6 pomegranate seeds, which meant 6 months in the underworld, and she promptly burst into tears. She was not the only one crying. Her mother missed her daughter terribly, and she didn't care if the crops died. All she cared about was finding her daughter again. No one knows who told Zeus about it, but it was clear that this could not go on. So he sent his son Hermes down to work out a deal with Hades. This was the deal that Hermes worked out. If Persephone would stay and marry Hades, she would live as queen of the underworld for 6 months during the winter. And in the spring, she could return to Earth and live there for 6 months. No one particularly liked the deal, but everyone finally agreed. So now, every spring for her daughter's return, Demeter makes sure that the crops are growing and the flowers are blooming and the fields are green with welcome. And every fall, when Persephone returns to the underworld, she lets the flowers and the crops die. And every spring, she brings everything to life again to welcome her daughter's return. For the ancient Greeks, this was the reason for the seasons: winter, spring, summer, fall. The end. If you are a child in Spirit Play or elementary school class, you may now leave with your teachers. All youth and anybody else may return to your seats. Thank you.
with a reading of a poem that I wrote. The sunlight seeps into every surface. Each day it seems to linger longer, as if it sees I know what hope is. A bird circles above, closer to the sun than I'll ever be. In search of that freedom, I scale the tallest tree. I drink the sunlight like the wildflowers on the hill, yet unlike them, I can never get my fill. As the sun begins its journey west, I anticipate its next arrival. The day will pass and another shall come, the promise of spring's great revival. One of my family's favorite spring traditions is to make s'mores with peeps. It all started one night several years ago when we wanted to make s'mores but had no marshmallows. Since it was around Easter, we had peeps and naturally used those instead. The original peeps are in the shape of chicks, one of the most recognizable springtime symbols. Along with their eggs, they represent rebirth and new life. To me, the emergence of new life from the earth every spring is one of the most miraculous things in the universe. Even though we spend winter knowing spring will come, something about nature's return to life is able to inspire a sense of transcendent wonder. One of our 6 Unitarian Universalist sources calls us to draw on these moments of wonder. The forces of life are powerful and mysterious, and we should treat them with reverence. We too can embody the renewal of spring by embracing nature and all its new life. We are also a part of nature, and we are blessed with the same gifts as all life.
When asked to join this service, I paused, but only for a moment, because I knew that I wanted my voice and my intersectionality woven into the fabric of the service. Then I heard the theme, rebirth. That's when I hesitated and wondered, what have I gotten myself into? Next, I saw the order of service. I was to give a personal reflection. At that moment, I knew I had made a mistake. You see, I was not ready to be intimate with all of you. I've been pretty strategic at being a PP type member, present but private. So I texted a good friend, Michael. Let me be clear, I texted Michael in a panic. She listened, she validated, she gave me wisdom, she held me. I meditated, I talked to my ancestors. I asked myself, what does rebirth mean to me? I mean, as an African-American woman, I feel like I'm in a constant state of rebirth. It's a constant struggle. It is a constant rising above false narratives and twisted expectations. And it is a constant emergence of strength and beauty. So here is what this Luna service means to me. It's pausing to collectively and in community honor the struggle and the blessing and the rising. I'd like to invite you into a moment of intimacy I shared with my ancestors. It is a poem from one of my ancestors, and I love it because it speaks to my sense of rebirthing. I love it because it captures not only the love I have for myself as an African American woman, but it also illustrates the reasons my ancestors and I must constantly rebirth ourselves if our true narratives are to emerge from our wombs. Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room? Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise.
We say that flowers return every spring, but that is a lie. It is true that the world is renewed. It is also true that the renewal comes at a price. For even if the flower grows from an ancient vine, the flowers of spring are themselves new to the world, untried and untested. The flower that wilted last year is gone. Petals once fallen are fallen forever. Flowers do not return in the spring, rather they are replaced. It is in this difference between returned and replaced that the price of renewal is paid. And as it is for spring flowers, so it is for us. Daniel Abraham, The Price of Spring. Growing up, my family celebrated the standard Christian holidays, even though we were affirmatively agnostic, if anything. When we got old enough to ask what Easter was celebrating, other than candy, we agreed that celebrating something that we could not possibly believe to be true, resurrection, was nonsense, and that from then on we would celebrate Spring Day on the first day of spring. It was convenient in that the Easter candy was often on sale because it almost never actually fell on Easter. And it also made more sense to us because why wouldn't you want to celebrate baby chickens and bunnies? That was something real and worth celebrating. As kids, the mystery of these babies and brand new life was out of our grasp. To me, fall is a time of restarting. It's probably the effect of spending most of my life in school or with children in school. But fall is when I want to redouble my efforts at all my goals and improve myself. I always go into fall with a plan. But spring is a little bit of a mystery. Maybe I couldn't see that as a child, or maybe we did, and that's why we tried to make it more knowable. It's unknown what you're going to get, and sometimes that's a little bit scary. It's not time to start over. It's time to start something new, something unknown. I hardly ever go into spring with a plan. Maybe because I'm tired from the winter, or maybe because spring comes with that sense of the unknown. You just have to wait and see what it brings. And to me, it's still time to celebrate baby things. They're frankly a bigger mystery than anything else I've found, and I can see now the mystery there too. Teresa Cooley says, in this time of anticipating spring, this is a time of revelation, the revealing of that which is eternal, which we see every year, but still need to be reminded to see in a new way. Every spring we encounter something never before seen. It is that very newness which embodies hope and potential for the wholeness which is yet to be. Let us allow spring to unfold slowly, that we may appreciate the true mystery of rebirth and renewal.
Pagan, a noun, meaning a person holding religious beliefs other than those of the main world religions. That's probably not what comes to your mind when you hear the word pagan. I'm pagan. That's not something I say a lot, and certainly not what most people would expect, but I have been for the last 15 years, ever since sophomore year of college. I wasn't raised that way. Oh no, I was raised a good Baptist girl here in the South, where the word witch usually has negative connotations. Finding my own spiritual path was a difficult journey, one that was fraught with doubt and fear, especially because I knew it was going to make me different than most people. So how ultimately did I decide to become pagan? Well, I love the earth and nature and everything it had to offer. And when I found out about earth-centered religions, they spoke to me on a deep level. Now I'm a self-proclaimed witch and happy to be so. And while that might sound weird or even scary to some people, it's really pretty simple. I find love and joy in nature, and it's what brings light into my life. And grounding myself in the natural world helps me be at peace. I also love to use what nature provides, such as herbs, which I use in many witchy ways, such as making teas, which is probably a little more boring than what you'd imagined. As Christopher Pinzak says, witchcraft is a spiritual path. You walk it for nourishment of the soul, to commune with the life force of the universe, and to better know your own life. Two of my favorite pagan holidays are Ostara, or the spring equinox, and Beltane, or May Day. Ostara celebrates that the earth is thawing and that spring is on its way. It's a time for growth and new beginnings. Beltane is the start of the planting season, and it celebrates cultivating new life. What I want to let people know is that paganism isn't strange or something to be wary of, but something with as much beauty and ritual as any religion. Everyone has the ability to celebrate Mother Earth and all she gives us, especially during springtime when her beauty is all around us. To quote Ralph Waldo Emerson, "The happiest person is the one who learns from nature the lesson of worship."
Yesterday
refer you to the announcements in your order of service. A few items are worth mentioning in particular. Every first Sunday, we invite our visitors to an informal Q&A with a UU Church of Charlotte member. This being a first Sunday, we hope to see some of you downstairs in the conference room immediately following this service. Families with children in the home, singles or couples, members and non-members, young and old, so that's everyone fits in one of those categories. All are invited to this coming Saturday's Hunger Banquet. A hunger banquet is an experiential event, part theater, part banquet, designed to help participants better understand the issues surrounding hunger. A table will be staffed in Freeman Hall after the service today to answer any questions you might have. All members are invited to the very important congregational meeting to consider a possible name change for our congregation next Sunday, March 8th at 12:30 here in the sanctuary, and childcare is provided. To make sure everyone is well informed prior to the meeting, members of our Board of Trustees will staff a table in Freeman Hall this morning again after this service. They will also have absentee ballots available for any who may be unable to attend. Ours is a congregation of community, and like any community, we have both joys to celebrate and concerns to share with each other. We hold in our hearts and prayers Judy Reynolds as she recuperates from a recent hospitalization, and cards are welcome. Now, just as I was duped into participating in this service, I was asked if I wanted to do community, joys and concerns, and being the good UU that I am, I said yes. And then I realized what it meant. But what I didn't realize is I was going to get to share a joy. And given that our theme is birth, I am honored to share the birth of Henry, a new family member to Eve, our minister. Ethan and Steve. Okay, so, yay.
Today, when the offering baskets come around, you will also notice an additional basket with strips of yarn. Please be sure each person takes one, as it will be used during the meditation. There are countless symbiotic relationships in nature, where plants and our animals could not survive without one another. Without bees, plants and flowers could not reproduce at a sustainable rate. Or how the relationship between clownfish and sea anemones are beneficial to both survival. There is give and take within all things, no different than with our church and the congregation. Without the time, energy, and financial support of such a dedicated members, the church would not flourish as it does. In the spirit of symbiosis, we will now give and receive the offering. Before we start, find the string of yarn in which each of you should have received during the offering and hold it in your hand. Get comfortable in your seat. Relax. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. Focus on your breathing. In, then out. We are on the verge of spring. The days continue to grow longer, letting the sun grace us with its warmth. Before long, the sun will win out as the days will begin to grow longer than the night. Think about the feelings that come with springtime. A sense of excitement of things to come. The feeling in the air that comes with warmer days. It is time for everything to awaken from their long winter's rest. Plants, animals, the earth. We begin to stir, just as the seeds do. We become awakened to a shift of something yet to come. Just as seeds begin to send out shoots toward the surface, toward the warmth, we too are drawn from our homes to bask in the wonder. Springtime is a time of renewal, beginnings, creativity, birth. It is a time to make dreams come to fruition. It is a time to give birth to ideas, to start over anew, to make goals, to plan. We reap what we sow. Seeds sown in the spring must be nurtured and cared for. Take a moment to think about what seeds of intention you have for this upcoming year. Picture it in your mind. There is so much possibility for transformation. Envision yourself planting your seeds of intention into the ground and covering it with warm, rich earth. What do you hope those seeds of intention will become? How will you nurture your intentions to be sure they manifest into the greatness that is deserved? What actions are needed to make this happen? Now, imagine these intentions along with what they will manifest into, being infused into the string of yarn you're holding, as if the yarn represents your intentions. This way, every time you see this piece of yarn, it will serve as a reminder of what you are working toward. Put it in a prominent place where you will see it frequently, or tie it to your wrist. May it be so, and blessed be.
We open this service with the words of the composition by Carolyn McDade. I will also close with her beautiful words. Earth shakes out a mantle of green, each blade of grass true to the integrity within. Yet together with others is the rise of spring from the winter's urging. Our coming is with the grass, the common which persists unexalted, but with the essence of life. Our humanness, our rhythms and dreams, the faith which nurtures our ardent love and hope for life. All this we share with the earth community, of which we are nature and connected beings. Go forth today and enjoy the spring, and we'll sit with our last song.